What's going on YouTube? Earth Power here, bringing you guys a deck profile. Today we have CVH, and
what's up, guys?
Tell them what you got for them.
Well, today we have the deck that I ran in the Roanoke, Virginia KMC on Sunday, after me and Carl played Whitewater Fire Tempo with Dragon Splash on Saturday. Yes. I decided to play this on Sunday after getting kind of wrecked by Spencer's control deck when I was trying to test the bug deck. So I decided to play Haven. It seems fun, and I thought this deck, I jokingly bragged to my teammates that it couldn't lose to anything that attacked before like turn 10. And, it actually held true throughout the event, pretty much.
Well, I guess tell me, you did audible between two decks.
I audibled like so many times. Like, that's how I didn't know Carl was on a can skimmer because I was just busy audibling all night. And I built Spencer's control deck like kind of a few cards different the night before, and then I was in the shower the morning of, and I was like, I want to play Junk Haven.
And you can't ignore the shower brews.
Yeah, I actually was finishing building this like 10 minutes before the tournament started. Like, I was trying to add cards, and I was like, I'll just add the Lyra for 41. That was my 41st card. I'm really into 40 cards.
We both ran 41 cards.
There's some things you'll see me running less of in this deck that I'm only running less of for space because I figured the space was more important than, say, a third Sprout. But anyway,
yeah,
two Casman Danglers. Excuse me. We have some early blockers. Like, I really didn't want to lose anything aggressive. I figured tempo would be pretty prevalent, and so would Rush.
I was going to say, for a control deck, you're running a lot of low drop stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it can get aggressive, I guess, if you have, like, Swordhorn's laws and Homunculon or whatever, but like the idea is that you run them out of a gas like early game with like the Prime Engine because it's just so good, and Homunculon is also so good, and you see your discard in a very timely fashion, so that should help you in the mirror matches as well. And then eventually you're free to get to 10 mana, and they can't really do anything because they're top decking and you're not, so you can play mana and a card every turn, even though you don't really have any draw besides Reap and Sow, but it works out. And walls, I guess. Alright, so 2 Sprouts for general ramping. They're pretty crucial, but at the same time, you never want to see them late game. So it's usually the first thing I cut when I'm trying to get a deck from like 45 to 40. Mm-hmm. And that seems pretty fair. Like, the only worry is that you might not run enough nature cards, but I did.
I was going to say, to just note on your 2 elves that are generally 3 elves, we've got only 2 Bone Blades and only 2 Terrapins.
Yeah, this is the big one, but I'd go to 3 on this after I went to 3 on these 2. These are much better cards, in my opinion, in this specific deck for a couple of reasons. But I'll get to that later. 3 Rain Cloud and 2 Chasm. I usually only run like this guy, but I felt like this was pretty good for Spencer the day before, and I was like, I want to like double up on all the blockers. And
yeah, literally cannot lose to aggro. 8 blockers under 3.
Yeah, unfortunately I did somehow only get a turn 4 play. It was my earliest play against Ricky Gross game 1, and I was like, I might just lose this match, but then I actually drew decently the next 2 and 1. But it was really insane not to see any of these before turn 4.
Right.
But 2 Chasms is really good. I played on turn 1 a couple times, and it's generally just at 6 mana primes. So not too bad there. And dropping it out of Haven is kind of fun, because it's just 10 mana, 1 mana. So whatever. 3 Full Metal Lemons, because I have the shiny versions, that's the only reason. 3 Swordhorns, because they're huge. It's like the best card, like the best 3-drop, I think, besides Mesmerize. So like the fact that I can run it in a control deck, I think Caleb Derward, who's a friend of Chris Anderson, did it the first, and it was like, oh, this is really sweet. And it's just so nuts. Like, you can get aggressive later, and you just power things up, and this plus Homunculon gets over Hive Queen, which saved me against you in top 8.
Yes.
And then 3 Mesmerize is just the best card, and it just gets better the less cards you run, because you can double Mesmerize and just kill people. You'll see that in the match against Spencer. 3 Laws, this is like the hope against a control deck, is that I'll see Mesmerize, Spire, and Laws, and Reap and Sow against the control mirror. But as long as you see one of these, like, you're happy. This is the best against the mirror, and it's just one of the best cards in general for this meta, until it gets rotated out in a year, I think. It'll just be, like, amazing.
Yeah, Mesmerize coupled with Spire Prophet is pretty insane, too.
Yeah, so you can do that more often. I did make a mistake in deck building because I wasn't really thinking too hard. I just sort of was building it the last minute, as you know, so I accidentally only ran 10 Darkness cards. So more often than not, I had to put down one of these to play one of these, and that was kind of annoying. But I was like, oh, I have Mesmerize Spire, but I just can't play Spire. But it was fine, because you Mesmerize once, and you've seen the hand, and you're pretty good, I think. 3 Reap and Sows just gets you there. I played it like 3 times in one game. Like, the fact, just again, with 40 cards, you're seeing a lot of cards. So you're seeing multiple Reap and Sows, and it's like not a whole lot of ramp, but it gets you there.
Yeah, it's definitely your most powerful card. I mean, on turn 4 and then all the way up through turn 8 generally. So.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the matchup. Like, sometimes you'd rather play this on turn 4, but after that, like, getting you higher, yeah, that's just something to do. And 2 Bone Blades. I think I'd probably go up to 3 if I anticipated a lot of aggro. Like, this might be cut for a third just because the dark count is so annoying.
Yeah, I was going to say, coupled with the 2 Terrapins and the 2 Sprout, you're only running 6 Shield Blasts.
Yeah, that was the theme of the weekend, was 4 defensive blasts per deck. It kind of worked out, depending, because, like, the idea of, like, only 2 Terrapins was, like, this is spot removal, but so is this, and, like, these cards just, hopefully on turn 5, they'll just be out of the field. And that usually happens. And like these really stave him off. Like a lot of things don't deal with this card.
Yeah. Or the thing that does deal with that card bumps with that card, and that is that card, so...
So I'm like trying to play a big guy, then get him out of a hand, and then wipe the board, and it usually works out like that. But this probably could be cut. It was still really nice, though. Like, I needed it against, like, the mirror that I lost was, like, Dark Nature deck. Excuse me. He was running, like, a bunch of... that was coming for a while. But it was running, like, a bunch of, like, Veil Stalkers and Lyras, and this card just, like, was sort of a precautionary measure that I felt like I needed to take against those cards. Like, I'll run the Lyras to deal with Lyras. So it was just sort of there. And it was my 41st card. And I'm happy with it overall, but another dark card would be nice. Thought about Screeching too, Targusher maybe, but you know. Homunculon's nuts. Just so y'all know. I think we already talked about that. And Prime is also nuts. And we run a ton of bait, like 11, literally. I think, or 13, because of the Homunculons.
Yeah, it's all those.
So it's almost never dead. And like playing it after a Haven, like even though that seems like sort of counterintuitive, but just tapping a guy and killing it, and then tapping another guy and killing it with Haven and drawing a card, like... After that play has made you win the game, I think. It's like the Cassiopeia or Prime, whatever you have. Or this. Tap is good. No Storm Sparks. That could be a potential thing, but space was tight. That's the only reason I didn't run it was just space, and I felt like Lyra was slightly better because I needed the body. 2 Terrapit, not a bad card at all. Just another thing I had to cut for space because I couldn't really cut the big drops because I only have a certain number of them, and if I see them, they have to go in mana like turn 1 or turn 2. Yeah. 3rd Andor, also something you should probably run if you're up against a lot of aggressive decks. Like, it wasn't a problem for me. But because I would still run the cast in the 3 Havens, but if you're running this deck against a lot of aggressive decks, 3rd Andro, because I did put 1 down early, and not having memory means you have to just get kind of lucky if you do that. So either just commit to not putting it down, or run 3.
Or slow roll it through all the way to turn 9.
Yeah, I mean you can do that too. I mean sometimes you don't even need it against Dagger because you just have so many tools. Like you clear the war with this, and then you just have like 3 breaks on board, and they just break 3, and you're good. 3 Haven's ridiculous for the same reasons it's always been. Like, if you can play it, like, this isn't really a deck about getting aggressive, even though it looks aggressive. Like, you just stall until you get here, and this is just your game-winning card against, like, the Dragon decks and the Tempo decks, because there's, like, almost no answer. And you can keep them off of a board, so Storm Spark doesn't hurt too much. And Cast was just nuts for me. Like, I try to include the 1 if I can, because in Control, it's just kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's almost like a School of Scourge in these colors sometimes too. You
pretty much
put it down and just win the game. So.
Yeah, and if you like, if you have so many big things, like you either kill the board that turn and just wait till next turn and kill the board, and it's just insane.
Well, and everything's huge too because all of your creatures have light, so they all get powered up by Haven.
Oh yeah, if I have Haven on board too, it just gets even more insane.
Yeah, literally every creature gets the power off Haven.
So the best matchups are like aggro decks and I think tempo decks as well. Like, it's a really good to have a control like they can't lose to Rush if you feel like that's the thing you're going to see in the area. I definitely recommend this. Reverberate sucks. If you get Reverberate, you lose because you're not running Shatter. I mean, you could run Shatter, you could tech it, but like I'd rather just not play this thing in a meta with Reverberate. But like you have discard, so hopefully you just get lucky against those decks. It's possible to win, you just have to get pretty lucky. Whereas they just have to see Crystal Memory and you not have discard and they win. But besides that, like the Light Nature Dark deck that I beat, or that I lost to rather, I felt pretty good in both games. I think I made a mistake not going second one game, but in general it's just because they have more threats than I did in the late game, and I didn't top deck one of these when I needed to, which was insane. I was like 20 cards deep and I hadn't seen one, and if I had seen one at a certain time it might have been like my game, but you know, things happen. But in general you just sort of rely on the fact that you're running less cards and you can see your things more often. But it's a good deck against a lot of the meta right now, and I felt like it was the right choice for someday.
Yeah, it just looks super comfortable too.
Yeah, and I like won every match except for the one I lost to the Haven deck, and I even beat Spencer's Haven deck, which was nice, even though I scooped to him.
And shoutouts to not needing 60 plus cards to build control, you know.
It's insane, right? You just, like, this card is just so good. It's just these 2, just these 3. Only these 3 that you really, really care about. And they will win you so many games if you just see them at the right time.
Yep.
People need to respect those cards.
Yes.
Respect Mesmerize. Defend Mesmerize.
Defend Mesmerize.
On turn 3. It's rare.
So check out the social links below, the Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Shout outs to Ultra Pro for being an incredible sponsor. And Mesmerize for being a part of Ultra Pro.
An incredible card.
Yep. And definitely check out this guy's channel.
I have a deck profile of the deck you used in the same tournament.
Oh, indeed.
On my channel.
On the same map.
Go check that out. Yeah,
it's true.
It's bugs. It's spicy bugs too.
It's spice bugs. It's not running fire though, so don't get the wrong idea.
Yep. So definitely go check that out, and I guess that's gonna be it. So leave a like, and hopefully, guys, we'll see you next time.
Peach.